Hey, Ted, welcome to my series, Meet the Leaders at Loan Depot. And for everybody out there, this is Ted Zepfel, our EVP of Retail Operations. Thanks for joining us today.
No problem, Steve. Good to be here.
Yeah. So, hey, to get it started, what sets you apart as a leader in the mortgage industry, and how do you stay on top of your game?
Yeah, I think that what sets me apart is my ability to make quick decisions based on the data available to me. I'm confident in the ability to make a decision and then know that I might be wrong, but I can quickly pivot and make the right decision after. And that's so critical in the mortgage industry because of how quick everything is changing. You have all this technology coming our way. Some of it's adopted, some of it's not. I'm a big believer in adopting technology, even if you're early, because you can always change and pivot if it's not the right thing or not done right. And you can always incrementally improve it as needed. A perfect example would be back, last year, 2 years ago, very few companies were talking about hybrid e-close or full e-close, right? It just wasn't on the docket as an important thing because there were so many other things that we were working on that might have been higher priority. And then March comes along and quickly that pivots on a dime that, being able to close remotely with a notary that's not, socially distanced from you, that is socially distanced from you is vitally important. And you have to quickly see that and know that, yeah, it wasn't part of my strategy a week ago, and today it needs to be rearranged. And you need to be able to then get that your team to quickly adopt to it, change, and use that technology, knowing how important it is. And you know that because you quickly decided that, hey, this is now important, that probably isn't going to be perfect. And so we're okay with making a decision that's not perfect, but it's the best available decision, incrementally improving on it, and then pivoting away if it really is a bad decision. So I'd rather make 9, 10 quick decisions and then have to pivot away from one of them than make one decision and be like, oh yeah, it was a really good decision. Because then you're missing out on all this other opportunity to advance our culture, our innovation, and our tech. And for Loan Depot, we're at the tip of the spear. And the only way you stay at that tip of the spear from an innovation standpoint is by quickly adopting and then working through that product or program or tech as it comes, and quickly seeing, hey, this wasn't where we needed to be, so maybe we pull back here, but we still are taking advantage of 90% of the launch. And so hybrid e-close, my team's using it on 85% plus of the eligible loans, and we have full e-close that just launched. And I'm sure I'm going to get high adoption there because the team already has that kind of DNA now of let's quickly adopt to it, get that feedback rather than just holding back, waiting for it to be perfect.
It seems from where I sit on the recruiting side, what's really amazing is there's a lot of balls you guys are juggling. We went from in-office to remote. We're rolling out new features of technology. We're hiring hundreds of new people for the team to deal with the volume. It's just been awesome to see how, and along with all the communication that has to come with that and just the team growing. But how do you juggle all those things? Because it seems like you've got, 5 cars in a race and all of them are in first position.
Yeah, there's a lot of different competing priorities, right? I go back to one of my friends is a Navy SEAL, and he talks about when there's no storm, when you're not in battle, it's really easy to take it and you have a plan, you can hit on it, you coordinate them thousands and thousands of troops, and you before the bullets start flying, that's what's going on, right? And so you can do that when volume's low, when things aren't changing as quickly. But when things are changing quickly and you're in the battlefield and there's bullets flying over your head, you can't really focus on everything at once. You got to focus on what they call the 3-foot radius, right? So for Navy SEAL, it's what's right around them. What can they touch? Can they grab this gun? Can they grab that microphone or the radio and call in a troop movement somewhere, right? It's the immediate thing you can actually impact. I think that you have to, when things are crazy like this, really focus on the things that you can impact right away. And then you need to have that long-term plan. You need to pivot towards it, right? So when we see the craziness that's happening, we see the number of loans coming through, capacity is going to be your number one priority. And so with that, you need to hire and you need to sacrifice other aspects of the business so you can get people in, because people always make your business. They always are the most important part of the DNA of an organization, right? I love tech. I talked about it just earlier, right? I'm a big proponent of change and adopting that, but the people are the number one aspect of it, because if you have morale issues and you don't show them the light, they're not going to get out of it. So when things are tough, when volume's high, when you need to get there, that's the number one focus. So I try and think about what can I change immediately, what's in my true 3-foot radius around me that I can impact right now and give that change. Because if you give the hope with the quick change that hits people, they'll be with you for the long-term change. And then you can try, changing the direction of the Titanic. You can't change the direction of the Titanic on a dime.
Yeah, I think you've done a great job too at getting people aligned with the vision and where we're going, and having everybody rowing in the same direction, even though we're in the middle of just a massive pipelines and a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it's incredible. The mortgage market went from 2 trillion to 3 trillion overnight. The last time we saw this was 2003, and 2003 had a lot of advantages from an operations standpoint. Low doc, no doc.
Right.
It was a lot easier.
Stated FICO.
Yeah, exactly. Just wave them in. We now have quality. We have document requirements, and those aren't changing, and it's the right thing to do. So it's a very different problem, but it's one it's a great challenge, and one that I'm excited to be at loanDepot for, because we have people, process, and tech. We don't just have one of those going at the same time. So we have great solutions for it.
Yeah. And I think it's really unique too. And I've never seen a company do this, but we're actually hiring like large groups of operations people. What's your take on that and the competitive advantage of a company that is thinking about hiring large groups of ops people at once? Because didn't we just hire a huge two pretty big groups that are starting this month?
Yeah. So you can always go after the onesie twosies, right? I think that I let my line level leaders always go for that. I'm like, hey guys, go find the individual processors, underwriters, closers that in your Rolodex. They're not going to have that same visibility into what could happen from an org standpoint that I do, or my divisionals, what's open out there. So I know what's out there, so I can go after these bigger leaders that have followings. In my book, if you're a regional, a divisional, you're not really a regional or divisional unless you have people that like you, that want to work with you, that want to follow you. That's my number one rule. Like if I go to you, I'm like, hey, you want this divisional job? And you go, oh, well, yeah, I'm not sure anybody will want to work with me. That's the biggest red flag there is. I want people that are like, yep, every single person I've ever worked with calls me the moment I change jobs, because they all love me, they want to work for me, and they want to work hard for me. That's the leader I'm looking for. And so when you talk to leaders and that's their MO, they're the right person for the job from that perspective. They're going to make an immediate impact. In a market like this, there's no better way to find somebody.
Yeah, totally agree. Hey, what would you say to new producers coming on in regards to the culture with ops and how you are integrated with sales and like that whole relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the retail special sauce, right? Especially at loanDepot. Relationships matter here. You're going to know who's working on your file. We're a big company that feels like a small company because you're going to have all your escalation points all the way up. You're going to have their cell phones. You're going to have their numbers. They're going to have meetings with you. You're going to trust your team that they're doing what's right because you know them. And that's a big part of the way we built this org. It's the only way to do it when there's stress, because you're going to have a rate lock that went past the expiration at times when you have this much volume. But if you know that 80 of your loans that already funded with this processor all went smoothly, you have that trust that wasn't their fault, and then you can still work on that and build and move forward. Because as soon as you lose that trust between operations and sales, that's when one team has to be perfect, and no one's ever perfect, right? That's, I think, where a lot of these bigger organizations, when they're like, oh, operational efficiency, I'm just going to throw them in, have anybody work on it. Whoever has the lowest pipeline, they get the next loan. Whoever has the next opening underwriting, they get the next loan. It sounds great if there weren't relationships. If it wasn't a people business, if we were making car parts, sure, the next machine that's open gets the next piece of ore. But we're people and we have trust issues, and that trust is built over success that allows us to overcome any sort of falter or misstep. So that's really how we build it here at loanDepot, knowing that the people matter. And that makes it so that, if you're a loan officer and you come on over, I want to bring over your partner, the one that you have trust with. I want to have that relationship for you. So come on over and bring your best processor.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember this, but I got started in February before all the COVID stuff. And one of the first things I got to go participate in, it was a town hall with SoCal managers and LOs. And we were in the Michelson building. And it was really a meeting between ops and sales to say, hey, we've got some things we're working on. We want feedback. Let's have this be communication. And I've been in meetings like that before. There was a whole lot of, just negative energy from sales towards ops. And this was what was different for my experience in this is it was really like, there was tons of respect and what you were talking about. There's partnership, there's communication. Hey, we've tried things this way. Is there any suggestions on, what are you experiencing while we do this? Do you see that happening on a regular basis where you're getting feedback from people, and like, how do you grow using sales as your partners and kind of feedback from the street?
Yeah, I think that if you ignore your sales partner's feedback, you're missing half the equation, right? And I do remember that meeting. It was the last big meeting we had before we went crazy and you can no longer meet. So
right.
It was very memorable because I mean it was 100 plus people in a room together, and that was the last time that happened. And you can only get that when you have other ops leaders like-minded, like myself, under me, who drive that partnership with sales, because then you can be honest about where things are, what needs to improve, and where you need to go. And you take it all in, and you have to take action items. And the only reason why that works and why it was a different type of meeting is because we've done them in the past, and then we get results off of it. So if you have that big meeting with 200 people in the room and they give you feedback, and then 6 months later you go down the list and you haven't hit on any of it, and you haven't done any of it, you lose that faith, that trust.
Totally missed opportunities for people, right?
Yeah, we're able to get that list done, and I'm really proud of that. Was Andrew Portek in my world, and he's great at executing around that kind of stuff because he takes it seriously and he wants to get results, and that's what builds the trust. So it builds it up over and over and over, and then when that happens, you can get honest feedback that truly improves your work.
Yeah, totally agree. Hey, and last question. Who is Ted outside of the mortgage business, and what do you do, to have fun and kind of the work-life balance side of things?
Yeah, so outside, I got three boys. They are absolutely crazy. Everything, playing sports, working hard to keep up with them on all fronts. I still play water polo. I played water polo in college, and so I still do that. Old man's league. That hasn't been happening, lately. But
where did you play in college?
Played at USC.
Right on.
Yeah. I love it. Fight on to all the Trojans out there. So I still do that, and beach life now that the kids are old enough and aren't just eating sand.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I know you've got a whole lot of stuff on your plate, but I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, and thank you for all you do for us. And here's to the future. We're going to keep going and having fun.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Yeah, you're welcome.